Even as mainland China has succeeded in controlling the spread of novel coronavirus, there are more disturbing reports coming from Italy, as the whole of Italy has now been put in a state of lockdown with steep increase in the death toll. Good morning, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan and these are the headlines of the hour. Process of appointing Bamdev Gautam to the National Assembly to further prolong party's leadership faction not in favor of Gautam's appointment. The government directs people travelling from South Korea, Japan, China, among 5 other nations to produce health report on their arrival at TIA in a bid to tackle coronavirus. Italy extends its emergency coronavirus measures, puts the entire nation in a state of lockdown as death toll from the epidemic climbs to 463. And Nepal's concept of Vision 2020 at the Tokyo Olympics limited to rhetorics. Dependency of Nepali athletes through wildcard entry increases. The process of appointing leader Bamdev Gautam to the National Assembly, despite the support of the ruling Nepal Communist Party's secretariat members, is to be further prolonged. The party's leadership faction has not favoured Gautam's appointment, resulting in the confusion. Members of the leadership faction are of the opinion that the party unification would be at risk if Gautam is nominated for the National Assembly on the basis of majority support before the upcoming General Convention. Meanwhile, the other faction of the ruling party has opined the leadership faction has been making the demand to avoid being limited to minority. Leader Bamdev Gautam has the support of Executive Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party Pushpa Kamal Dahal and senior leader duo Madhav Kumar Nepal and Jalnath Khanal. The leadership faction has taken this as an attempt to corner Prime Minister and Party Chairman KP Sharma Oli and has recommended to table the issue at the upcoming General Convention before reaching a decision solely based on majority votes. The faction has also claimed appointing Gautam on the basis of majority would violate the agreements between then CPNML and CPN Maoist during unification. The leadership faction has also argued the majority support of the party's secretariat as unacceptable, citing the secretariat was under pressure by Dahal and Gautam, who held informal meetings at their residences.
हाम्रो विधान र नियमावलीको जुन लेटर अफ स्पिरिट छ त्यसको बडा प्रष्ट दुनियाले बुझ्ने गरी नेतृत्वका साथीले बुझेनन् म भन्दिन दुनियाले बुझ्ने गरी नेतृत्वको सहमतिको आधारमा महाधिवेशनसम्म निर्णयहरू गर्दै लिएर जाने त्यसैले अहिले हाम्रो पार्टीमा अङ्कगणित पुर्याएर गणितको आधारमा राजनीति अगाडि जान सक्दैन.
Meanwhile, the opposing intra-party faction has stated that there was no alternative to accept majority to clear indecision and that Premier Oli cannot back out of the Secretariat's decision. The disgruntled faction is of the opinion that the Premier cannot hold the Secretariat decision, citing dissatisfaction when the Premier himself has taken government and party decisions on his own on numerous occasions.
सबै विषयमा सहमति नै हुन्छ भन्न सकिदैन. कतिपय यस्ता इस्युहरू हुन सक्छन्, विषयहरू हुन सक्छन् जसमा बहुमतलाई मान्नुपर्ने, स्वीकार्नुपर्ने एउटा स्थिति आउन सक्छ. एकजना मान्छे पनि असहमति हुँदा विषयवस्तुलाई अड्काएर राख्न मिल्दैन.
Amid global panic due to rising fatalities of the novel coronavirus that was first reported a few months back in China, it can be considered fortunate that Nepal has so far been more or less spared by the deadly virus. Nepal, in the meantime, has maintained few of its preventive measures since the World Health Organization listed Nepal as a high-risk country. The Nepal government has now made it mandatory for travelers from 5 specific countries to have a health report before traveling to Nepal. We have a report.
The Nepal government has beefed up its security provisions to tackle the coronavirus outbreak, which has caused thousands of deaths elsewhere. The global death toll has exceeded 3,800 and over 110,000 people have been infected so far. Nepal government has made it mandatory for those traveling from China, Italy, Iran, South Korea and Japan to show a health report at the Tribhuvan International Airport's health desk this week onwards. Citing these 5 countries showed the most number of infections and deaths, the government has decided to send anybody traveling from these countries to return if they fail to produce the mandatory health document. The government's vigilance at a time of global health crisis is a welcome move. Likewise, the public in general have been taking preventive measures at personal level as well. However, it cannot be denied that the general public are in a state of panic and even common colds and coughs are being seen as a possible attack of coronavirus. Social media is abuzz with posts related to coronavirus as of recent. Some of these posts include information that are irrelevant and misleading. Some of the myths that the public are being told is that the virus transmits through air. There are also misguided posts that suggest that the virus is controlled through the consumption of garlic, turmeric, and even alcohol. Doctors say there is a coronaphobia among the public due to the critical nature of the disease.
यो अहिलेको समयमा चाहिँ एक व्यक्तिबाट अर्को व्यक्तिमा सर्ने रोग हो र जो व्यक्तिहरू क्लोज कन्ट्याक्टमा हुनुहुन्छ संक्रमित व्यक्तिको सामिप्यता भएका व्यक्तिहरूलाई हाक्चौँ गर्दा खोक्दाखेरि अथवा उसको छिटाहरू परेको ठाउँ सतहलाई छोएर मुख नाक आँखा मिच्दाखेरि चाहिँ यो संक्रमण हुने हो र अनावश्यक त्रासदी फैलाउने अनावश्यक हल्ला गरेका इन्फर्मेसनहरूलाई चाहिँ लाइक गर्ने शेयर गर्ने चाहिँ बन्द गर्नुपर्छ.
Meanwhile, doctors have urged the public to avoid being a victim of misinformation.
And we'll take a short break here. We'll be right back. Italy has extended its emergency coronavirus measures, which include travel restrictions and a ban on public gatherings, to the entire country. The Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte yesterday ordered people to stay home and seek permission for essential travel. Conte said the measures were designed to protect the most vulnerable. Italy's coronavirus death toll jumped from 366 to 463 on Monday. It is the worst hit country after China. The number of confirmed infection also increased by 24% from Sunday as per the official figures. Cases of the virus have been confirmed in all 20 Italian regions. In a televised address on Monday, Conte said that Italy's customs must change and that the best thing was for people to stay at home. The Prime Minister added that all sporting events, including football matches, were being suspended nationwide. The schools and universities will remain closed until 3rd of April. The restrictions are similar to those earlier applied to the worst affected Lombardy region and 14 other provinces. The government has said only those with a valid work or family reason that cannot be postponed will be permitted to travel. Passengers departing on flights except temporary visitors will have to justify themselves, as will all those arriving by plane. The number of infections worldwide is now more than 110,000 with more than 3,800 deaths. The public does not have easy access to information from government offices, although the right to information has been enshrined as a fundamental right in the Constitution. And in this context, we had asked the people's representatives and officials in Sankhuwasabha what difficulties are they facing in providing information to the people. Let's take a look at what they have to say.
Public voice.
जनताको तहमा अधिकार बुझाउनका लागि तल-तलसम्म सबै व्यवस्थापन गरेर जाने हो भने मात्रै यो सूचनाको हक चाहिँ सबैले बुझ्नु हुनेछ.
नागरिकले सूचनाको हक लिनुपर्छ. यो पाउने विधि प्रक्रिया र पद्धति यसो हो भनेर यो सिकाउनु पर्ने र यसलाई तल लानु समेत जरुरी भएकोले त्यस्तो प्रतिबद्धता समेत गरिएको छ.
जनताहरू अथवा जान्ने बुझ्ने साथीहरू त्यहाँतिर सूचना सोध्न आउने खोज्न आउने नगर्ने एउटा कुरा समस्या त्यहाँ र प्रत्येक वडा अथवा टोलटोलमा चाहिँ हामीले एउटा सूचना पेटिका व्यवस्थापन गरेछौँ. त्यो सूचना पेटिका नहेरिदिने
सेवाग्राहीहरू हुन्छ उहाँहरूमा पनि सूचनाको जुन उहाँले माग्न पर्छ र सूचना हामीले पाइन्छ भन्ने एउटा इन्फर्मेसन अथवा उहाँहरूमा त्यो नलेज नै नभएको अवस्था पनि मैले पाइरहेको छु.
प्रत्येक वार्डमा गएर हामी सूचना तपाईहरुको सूचनाको हक तपाईहरुमा छ र तपाईहरुले समिति निकायमा
पाउने सूचना खोज्ने अधिकार तपाईँहरूको छ भनेर हामी सम्पूर्ण वडामा गएर हामी यो सूचनाको अधिकार उहाँका स्थानीयवासीहरूलाई जानकारी गराउने एउटा चाहिँ हामीले मैले चाहिँ प्रतिबद्धता आज पनि गरेको छु।
चाहेर पनि जुन एउटा नेटवर्कको समस्याले गर्दाखेरि यो कुरा अब हामीमा सूचना प्रवाह गर्नु एकदम समस्या भइरहेको छ।
प्रक्रियागत रूपमा नआउँदाखेरि त्यसरी अलिक लिपिबद्ध भएर लिने दिने कुरामा चाहिँ अलिक केही कठिनाइ भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि सूचनाको चाहिँ प्रवाहमा अलिक जटिलता हो कि भन्ने लाग्छ मलाई।
And we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for another short break.
Sports news.
The National Sports Council conceptualized Vision 2020 with an aim to win medals in the 32nd edition of the Olympics in Tokyo this summer. The main objective of Vision 2020 is to help players participate in the Olympics after being selected through qualifying rounds. However, the possibility is minimal for players to be qualified in the Olympics that is going to be organized in Tokyo in 4 months' time. In fact, this time around, Nepal is likely to participate through wildcard entry. Players from a particular country can qualify for the Olympics in 3 ways. First, by exhibiting world-class performance in the selection round. Second, by mandatory participation in swimming and athletics. And third, by wildcard entry. Nepal is not likely to qualify for any of the Olympic Games as of yet. The only option for the Nepali players to qualify is through wildcard entry. Wildcard entry is an option given to players at the 11th hour depending on the scores gained by them after participating in international competitions. Sangeena Vaidya and Deepak Bista from Taekwondo were the only Nepali players to qualify for the Olympics so far. Vaidya qualified in 2004 while Bista was selected in 2008 Olympics. Besides, Nepal has been participating in all the 13 editions of Olympics through wildcard entries, which is likely to continue in the upcoming Olympics as well, despite the ambitious Vision 2020 concept. Meanwhile, the ranking of the players also determines the participation in sporting events. However, with the lack of implementing the concept of big sporting events by the sports regulatory body, the result is unlikely to be an effective one. The Nepal Olympic Committee has recommended 12 players for 7 games through wildcard entry, among which 10 players have been receiving scholarship since last May. Besides, swimmer Gaurika Singh, who bagged 4 gold medals at the 13th South Asian Games, and Alexander Shah, based on his performance at the Games, are included in the mandatory participation quota. Players who participated in qualifying rounds are now ultimately waiting for the wildcard entries. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it texts us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, why has Nepal failed to qualify for the Olympic Games? Your options are A, lack of government's vision, option B, sports association neglect, and option C, lack of resources. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And before we wrap up, here's a look at the top stories one more time. Process of appointing Bamdev Gautam to the National Assembly to further prolong party's leadership. Faction not in favor of Gautam's appointment. The government directs people traveling from South Korea, Japan, China, among 5 other nations to produce health report on their arrival at TIA in a bid to tackle coronavirus. Italy extends its emergency coronavirus measures, puts the entire nation in a state of lockdown as death toll from the epidemic climbs to 463. And Nepal's concept of Vision 2020 at the Tokyo Olympics limited to rhetorics. Dependency of Nepali athletes through wildcard entry increases. And those were our latest headlines. Stay with us for more news and entertainment on KTVSD. Good day.